94% of executives who start a training program quit within 8 weeks. 94%. And here's the part that stings. It's not because they lack discipline. They run divisions, they manage boards, they make decisions that move markets. Discipline is not their problem. The system they were given is the problem. What I'm about to show you completely breaks from that system, and it works in 15 minutes, not 2 hours, not 90 minutes, 15. My name is Dr. Aris Thorne. I'm a performance physiologist, and for the last 11 years, I have worked alongside executives, surgeons, managing directors, and elite athletes who have the same fundamental problem you do. A body that deserves to perform at the level their ambitions demand, and a schedule that the old training model was never built for. At Primal Unleashed, we live by a single standard, the silverback standard, and the creed is this. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature. That isn't a tagline, that is a philosophy, and everything I'm about to give you comes from it. Stay with me for the next 15 minutes. What you're going to have by the end is not just a workout, it's a complete operating system. The exact movements, the exact timing, the exact weekly architecture to build the kind of physical authority that professional success alone can never give you. But first, I want to be honest with you about something important. Drop gorilla in the comments right now if you're ready to build. It takes 2 seconds and it tells me you're the kind of person this is built for. The productivity paradox. Let's start with the lie, the one the fitness industry built its entire business model on. Volume. They worshipped it. More sets, more reps, more hours, more days, more sacrifice. And driven people, people like you, absorbed that gospel into already overloaded lives. You set the alarm for 4:45 a.m. You blocked 90 minutes. You tried to make it work. And when the board meeting ran long, when the flight got delayed, when the kids needed you, the whole structure collapsed, and you called yourself undisciplined. No, you were using the wrong tool for the job. Here is what the biology actually tells us, and this part is more important than any program you've ever followed. Your body does not reward time spent in the gym. It rewards the right signal delivered at the right intensity threshold. That's it. Full stop. Here's the specific number that should change everything for you. 83% of the testosterone and growth hormone response generated by high-intensity resistance training occurs within the first 9 minutes of the session. 83%. The remaining 17% is spread across everything that follows. That means a 9-minute window of genuine maximal effort produces nearly the same hormonal signal as a 60-minute session performed at moderate pace. And a 15-minute session built around explosive, compound primal movements executed at genuine intensity triggers what physiologists call the EPOC effect, elevated post-exercise oxygen consumption that keeps your metabolism firing for the next 18 to 24 hours after you stop. That isn't motivation poster language. That is measurable, peer-reviewed physiology. The gorilla in the wild does not spend 6 hours slowly moving through the jungle to stay dominant. He moves with explosive total body power, and then he recovers. That's not laziness, that is biological intelligence. And the moment you adopt that same intelligence into your training, everything changes. I built this 15-minute framework specifically around the 2026 hybrid executive schedule. It runs before your first calendar block. It works in a Marriott fitness room at 6 a.m. It requires one piece of equipment, but it asks one thing from you in return. Everything you have for those 15 minutes. Not a comfortable effort, not pretty solid. Everything. And in 60 seconds, I'm going to show you the exact 3 movements that make this work. Movements that fix what sitting at a desk does to your body, while simultaneously building the dense, functional muscle that makes you look and carry yourself like someone who leads. The Primal Movement Matrix. Before I walk you through these 3 movements, I want to tell you something most coaches won't. There's one of these patterns that virtually no executive training program ever includes, not because it's complicated. It's actually the simplest of the 3, but because it doesn't look impressive. It doesn't photograph well. It won't get you a 6-figure follower count on Instagram, But for someone who sits at a desk 6 to 8 hours a day, this one pattern does more to rebuild your physical authority than anything I've ever seen. I'll get to it in a moment. First, the foundation. Movement 1, the hip hinge. This is the king of human movement, the deadlift, the kettlebell swing, the Romanian deadlift. When you drive your hips back, load your posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, the entire lower back, and explosively extend forward, you are firing the exact muscle architecture that makes a human being look powerful, move powerfully, and feel powerful. The gorilla's dominant physical expression is hinge-based. It is total body force production. Nothing compares. Movement 2, the vertical push. Not a bench press, a push press, an overhead press, an explosive push-up variation. When you press weight directly overhead, something interesting happens neurologically. The body perceives it as a dominance posture. Your core braces, your glutes fire, your posterior chain locks in. This is not an arm exercise. This is a full-body authority statement, and it signals something to your nervous system that moderate exercise simply cannot replicate. Movement 3, the loaded carry. This is the one nobody talks about. Farmer's carries, suitcase carries, overhead carries. When you pick up a heavy load and simply walk with it, your grip, your core stability, your postural muscles, your cardiovascular system, your mental focus, everything operates simultaneously. And here is why this is the secret weapon for the desk-bound professional. The loaded carry directly counteracts forward head posture, rounded shoulders, and anterior pelvic tilt, the physical signature of 6 to 8 hours seated at a screen. It doesn't just build muscle, it restores your architecture. This is the movement nobody photographs, and it is the one that will transform how you carry yourself in every room you walk into. The King of the Jungle sequence combines all three. Weighted carry into explosive vertical push, immediately followed by a loaded hip hinge. That chain, performed continuously with controlled rest periods, is your 15-minute engine. Now, here's where it gets precise. Because knowing what to do is one thing. Knowing exactly how to do it, for how long, with what rest structure, that is what separates the 15 minutes that changes your physiology from the 15 minutes that just makes you tired. That's exactly what I'm giving you next.
Personal origin moment. I'm going to step back for a second, because I think you need to know why I built this. There was a period in my life, I was about 4 years into my postdoctoral research at the time, when I was working 80, sometimes 90 hours a week. I was building something professionally that I was deeply proud of, and I was completely physically deteriorating. I had a back injury I kept ignoring. I hadn't trained consistently in over a year. I was 31 years old and I got winded climbing 2 flights of stairs. And the worst part wasn't the physical decline. It was what it did to how I showed up. In meetings, in conversations, in the way I walked into a room. There was a version of me that I was becoming when I didn't recognize and didn't respect. The shift didn't come from a new program or a gym membership. It came from one single decision. I stopped waiting for the conditions to be perfect, and I started training with what I had in the time I had. 15 minutes every morning, non-negotiable. That was 11 years ago, and the system I'm giving you today is a refined, scientifically structured version of exactly what I built in that moment. This works. I know it works because I was the first test case. Now, back to precision, because what you do with that time matters enormously. Precision intensity protocols. I promised you at the start of this video that I'd prove 15 minutes is enough. Here is the proof, not in theory, in exact numbers. Here is the gorilla mode protocol. 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of controlled rest. Cycle through the 3 primal movements, hinge, push, carry for 5 complete rounds. 40 on, 20 off, 5 rounds, 15 minutes exactly. During those 40 seconds of work, I need you in what exercise scientists call your 85 to 92% heart rate zone. If you're wearing a Whoop, an Apple Watch, or a Garmin, you can confirm this directly. If you don't have a wearable, here's your field test. If you can hold a comfortable conversation during your work intervals, you are not working hard enough. The signal you need is not there. The 20-second rest window is not a scroll break. It is 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths, in through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 2, out through the mouth for 6. This is not meditation. It is a calculated nervous system reset that prepares your output capacity for the next interval. Now, there's one more thing I need to address because this is where most people hit the wall, and it's not physical. Somewhere around round 3, and I want you to be prepared for this, a very sophisticated, very well-educated voice inside your head is going to tell you to back off, to save something, to pace yourself. That voice is the domesticated version of you, the one that modern life spent years training into compliance. You are here to fire something different, the executive athlete who shows up completely, not the professional who protects himself from discomfort. Acknowledge the voice and then override it. If you're getting value from this, hit subscribe right now before we move on. What's coming to this channel over the next 60 days is the most concentrated library of primal performance content I've ever put together, and I don't want you to miss a single piece of it. Now, here's a question I get constantly. What do you need to actually run this protocol wherever you are in the world? The Minimalist Toolkit. One thing I hear constantly from the executives and high-level professionals I work with is, Dr. Thorne, I travel 40 weeks a year. I'm in a different city every 3 days. I can't maintain a training routine. Good. This was designed for exactly that life. Here is your complete, non-negotiable equipment list for Gorilla Mode. Item 1, a 24 to 32 kilogram kettlebell. 1. That single piece of iron sitting in the corner of your home office covers every movement in this protocol. The swing, the carry, the press. 1 kettlebell, unlimited capacity. Item 2, for travel, 2 adjustable dumbbells. Pack light, train heavy. Most mid-level hotels have a pair of fixed dumbbells in the fitness space. That is genuinely all you need to execute this protocol at full intensity. Item 3, a percussive therapy device, a Theragun, Hypervolt, or comparable tool used for exactly 3 minutes after every session. Target the hip flexors, the thoracic spine, and the posterior shoulder. This is not optional. This is how you prevent cumulative micro-damage from compounding into chronic injury, which is what ends training practices permanently. That is the entire toolkit. 1 kettlebell, dumbbells when mobile, 3 minutes of targeted recovery. No cable machines, no memberships, no perfect conditions. The modern silverback does not require an ideal environment to perform. He performs with what's available and makes it look effortless because he's trained for exactly this, the constraint, the variable, the moment when the conditions aren't perfect. That is not a limitation. That is the training itself. And now, the part that makes all of this sustainable, because showing up once is easy. Showing up for 6 weeks straight, building real, compounding physical gains while running at full professional capacity, that requires a structure, and I have one for you. Sustainable Alpha Integration. Here is the modern Silverback weekly blueprint. This is exactly the weekly structure I run with my private clients, the COOs, the managing directors, the professional athletes who are performing at the highest levels while maintaining complete physical capacity. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Gorilla Mode sessions. 15 minutes, maximum intensity. These are your non-negotiable foundation days. Tuesday and Thursday, deliberate movement. 20 minutes outdoors, no phone, no headphones, walking in natural light. This is active biological reset. It clears cortisol, maintains joint mobility, and does something underestimated but critical. It keeps you connected to the physical world rather than the digital one. Saturday, 1 extended lower intensity session, 40 to 60 minutes of something you genuinely enjoy. Hiking, swimming, a sport, a martial art. This is where physical joy lives, and joy is what makes this practice sustainable across years rather than weeks. Sunday, full rest, non-negotiable. This is when the adaptation actually occurs. The work happens in the session. The growth happens in the stillness. Now, nutrition. I'm not going to give you a complex dietary protocol because the single highest leverage nutritional window for a professional with your schedule is this. Within 30 minutes of completing your Gorilla Mode session, consume 30 to 40 grams of complete protein alongside a fast-acting carbohydrate source, a protein shake and a banana, Greek yogurt with honey and berries, eggs with fruit. This is your Executive Refuel window. Your muscle tissue is at maximum amino acid receptivity in this period.
And the return on that decision goes far beyond the physical. the quality of your afternoon focus, the sharpness of your decision-making, your ability to stay composed through high-stakes conversations, all of it is directly tied to what you consume in that 30-minute window post-session. This is applied performance science, not diet culture, not calorie restriction, precision timing for a high-output professional. Every single thing I promised you at the start of this video, the movement matrix, the exact work-rest structure, the weekly blueprint, the nutritional protocol, it's all here. You now have the complete operating system. But I want to leave you with one final idea, because it's the one that matters more than all of it. I want you to picture something. 6 weeks from today, you've completed 18 gorilla mode sessions, 15 minutes each. You've been consistent, not perfect, consistent. And here's what has changed. You're walking differently. The rounded shoulders and forward head that 6 hours at a desk used to build into you, gone. You're carrying yourself upright with the kind of postural presence that people notice before you say a single word. You're thinking more clearly, not because of some wellness trend, because high-intensity compound movement consistently elevates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the protein that drives cognitive performance and mental resilience. And something more subtle has shifted. The way you feel when you walk into a room. The baseline confidence that doesn't come from what you achieved professionally. It comes from knowing physically that you were capable, that you were not soft, that you did not let modern life domesticate you. That is what the Silverback Standard actually is. Not a workout, not a fitness brand. A decision you make about the kind of person you're going to be, in your body, in your presence, in your life. Physical dominance and professional dominance are not competing priorities. They are the same pursuit. You now have everything you need. So before this video ends, do one thing. Find tomorrow morning's 15-minute window right now. Not next Monday, not after the project closes. Tomorrow. Lock it into your calendar like a board meeting you cannot move, because that is exactly what it is. If this changed something for you today, share it with one person. The guy who keeps saying he used to be in shape. The executive running on cortisol and no sleep. The leader who has built an extraordinary career and neglected the foundation it stands on. Send it to them. And if you want everything that's coming, the complete Silverback nutrition architecture, the mindset protocols, the advanced Primal training systems, subscribe now. Because what's being built on this channel over the next 60 days is the most complete Primal performance library that exists. We don't just lift weight here, we reclaim our nature. I'm Dr. Aris Thorne. This is Primal Unleashed. Now go.